My entitled wife and her greedy family tried to use me as their cash cow, but I exposed their lies and left them homeless, broke, and begging for help. I, a 29-year-old male, have been lurking on this subreddit for years, but never posted until now. What happened to my marriage, and the revenge that followed, is something I still can't believe actually happened to me. Fair warning, this gets pretty wild, and the people involved are some of the most entitled, manipulative pieces of work you'll ever hear about. By the end of this story, you'll understand why I had no choice but to completely destroy their lives. Let me start with some background so you understand how I got into this mess and why what happened was so devastating. I'm a diesel mechanic. I make about $72,000 a year working on big rigs and construction equipment at Morrison Heavy Equipment Repair. It's not bad money for my area, and I'm really good at what I do. I've been working with engines since I was 15, helping my Uncle Danny in his shop. I started off just handing him tools and cleaning parts, but by the time I was 17, I could rebuild a Caterpillar engine from scratch. My childhood wasn't easy. I grew up with just my mom after my dad took off when I was 11. One day he was there, the next day he was gone with his secretary to Florida. He left mom with 3 kids and a pile of bills. I had to help raise my 2 younger brothers, Ryan and Kevin, while mom worked double shifts at the textile factory, making $11 an hour. I learned early that family means everything, but I also learned that some people will take advantage of your loyalty if you let them. Mom used to say, blood doesn't mean anything if they're bleeding you dry. And man, was she right about that. When I turned 18, I got my diesel tech certification and started working full-time while my brothers finished high school. I saved every penny I could while helping mom with the bills. By the time I was 26, I had enough saved up for a down payment on a house. 3 years ago, I bought a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $195,000 in the Maplewood subdivision. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. 1,800 square feet, a decent neighborhood, a big backyard, and a 2-car garage. I've been busting my ass to pay that $1,420 monthly mortgage on my own, and I'm proud as hell of what I built. I'm the first person in my family to own a house. That's when I met Sarah at Peterson's Auto Parts, where she worked as an assistant manager. I was there picking up some gaskets for a job, and this girl behind the counter knew exactly what I needed without me even having to explain. She was gorgeous, 5 feet 6 inches, blonde hair, fit body, and had this confidence that just drew you in. But more than that, she actually knew her stuff about car parts. "You working on a 2018 Peterbilt?" she asked, looking at my order. "Yeah, how'd you know?" I replied. "The gasket set you're buying?" Most people don't know you need the heavy-duty version for the newer models. A lot of mechanics try to use the standard ones and wonder why they fail. We started talking about engines and somehow ended up talking for 2 hours about everything else. She was making around $38,000, which isn't great but decent for retail management in our area. More importantly, she seemed to have her head on straight and wasn't looking for some guy to take care of her. Sarah came from a broken home too, which is probably why we connected so fast. Her dad, Marcus, bailed when she was 17. He just walked out one day and never came back, leaving her mom, Rebecca, to raise 2 daughters alone on a grocery store cashier's salary of maybe $25,000 a year. Sarah, being 4 years older than her sister Megan, basically became a second parent. She worked part-time at a gas station through her senior year of high school and helped pay bills while making sure Megan stayed in school and out of trouble. When Sarah graduated, she took the job at the parts store because it paid better and had benefits. I respected the hell out of that about her. We both understood what it meant to sacrifice for family and step up when things got tough. We both knew what it was like to grow up fast and take responsibility when the adults in your life let you down. We dated for almost 2 years before I proposed. It took me 6 months to save up for the $4,500 engagement ring from Kay Jewelers. It wasn't too crazy, but it was a full carat, and she loved it. When I got down on one knee in her mom's living room with her whole family there, she started crying and said yes before I even finished asking. Our wedding was small, about 60 people at the VFW Community Center. It cost me around $12,000 total, which was a lot for me back then. I wanted to give Sarah the wedding she deserved, even if it meant emptying my savings account. She looked absolutely amazing in her dress, and I thought I was the luckiest guy alive. Megan was the maid of honor and gave this speech about how Sarah was the most selfless person ever, and how family should always come first, no matter what. She went on and on about how Sarah had sacrificed so much for everyone else, and how she deserved someone who would always put family first. Looking back, that speech was basically a warning about what was coming. I should have paid more attention to those words. At the time, I actually liked Megan. She was 25, bubbly, always joking around and making people laugh. She was one of those girls who could light up a room just by walking in. She flirted with everyone, but in what seemed like a harmless way. Or so I thought. She'd bounced between jobs every few months, always having some excuse about why things didn't work out. Bad manager, weird customers, not enough hours, too many hours, coworkers were jealous, whatever. During the wedding reception, she spent most of her time taking selfies and posting on social media about being at her sister's fairy tale wedding. She had about 3,000 Instagram followers back then and was always talking about how she was building her brand and growing her platform. Even at our wedding, she was more focused on getting content than celebrating with us. Rebecca, Sarah's mom, pulled me aside during the reception and thanked me for taking such good care of Sarah. She said she hoped I'd always be there for both her daughters. At the time, I thought she was just being nice, but looking back, that was probably her way of testing the waters. But you know what they say? Liking someone at family gatherings is way different than living with them. Way freaking different. For the first year of marriage, things were actually pretty good. Sarah moved into my house, and we split the bills fairly. She contributed $800 a month, which helped with the mortgage, utilities, and groceries. We had our own routines, our own space, and rarely fought about anything serious. I'd get up at 5:30 in the morning for work. Sarah would leave for the parts store around 7. I'd usually get home around 4 in the afternoon, covered in grease and diesel fuel. She'd get home around 6. We'd make dinner together, watch TV, and go to bed. Simple, but good. Megan would visit maybe once a month, usually staying the weekend. She'd take over our living room with her ring light and phone tripod, making TikToks and Instagram posts. It was annoying having her sprawled all over my couch in bikinis and workout clothes, taking hundreds of photos, but whatever. It was just weekends, and Sarah seemed happy to have her sister around. "She's really building something," Sarah would say while Megan posed in our backyard. "Look at her engagement rates." I'd nod and go find something else to do. The whole social media thing seemed stupid to me, but if it made them happy, fine. Then, about 14 months into our marriage, Megan's social media started taking off. We're talking bikini pics, workout videos, day-in-my-life content, thirst traps, the whole playbook. Her follower count jumped from 3,000 to 15,000 in like 3 months. Suddenly, she thought she was the next big influencer. Sarah ate this up. "My sister's going to be famous," she'd brag to anyone who'd listen. "She's got such a good eye for content, and she's so natural on camera. Companies are already reaching out to her for partnerships." What partnerships? I never saw any money coming in. Meanwhile, I'm thinking this girl posts ass pics for validation from horny teenagers, but I kept my mouth shut because it made Sarah happy. Plus, Megan was still living with her mom and working part-time at Target, so it wasn't my problem. That's when Megan announced she was moving to our city to pursue her career in modeling and social media full-time. She'd been researching the market opportunities in our area and decided it was the perfect place to take her brand to the next level. Sarah was over the moon, talking about how proud she was that Megan was finally following her dreams and taking control of her life, being brave enough to bet on herself. When Sarah asked if Megan could stay with us for just a couple of weeks while she found her own apartment, I said, "Sure. I mean, what kind of brother-in-law would I be if I didn't help family get on their feet?" Plus, Sarah seemed so excited to have her sister close by, and I wanted to make my wife happy. Biggest mistake of my freaking life. Megan showed up on a Tuesday morning with 2 huge suitcases, a professional ring light, a phone tripod, a laptop, and this attitude like she was doing us a huge favor by gracing us with her presence. No job lined up, maybe $500 in her bank account, no car, and no actual plan besides getting discovered by the right people. "Don't worry about me," she announced, while immediately setting up her equipment in our living room without asking. "I'll be out of your hair super quick. I just need to establish myself in the market here and network with local photographers. Then I'll find the perfect place right away." She started treating our house like her personal studio. She'd wake up around 11 in the morning. I'd been at work for 5 hours by then, make herself an elaborate breakfast using our food, obviously, then spend the next 4 to 5 hours taking photos and videos all over the house. Our living room became her main set. She'd move all our furniture around to get better lighting, leave her makeup and clothes everywhere, and use our coffee table as a prop. Our backyard turned into her outdoor studio. She even started taking photos in our kitchen and bathroom. "The lighting in here is amazing," she'd say while posing on our kitchen counter in a sports bra. "My followers are going to love this authentic, homey vibe." Sarah would come home from work and immediately start fangirling over whatever Megan had posted that day. "Look how many likes this got," or "She gained 200 followers today," or "This brand wants to send her free products." Meanwhile, I'm seeing our grocery bill jump from $120 a week to almost $300. Princess Meghan had expensive taste in everything: organic produce, grass-fed meat, fancy coffee, artisanal bread. She'd eat our food, then complain that we didn't have better options. "Do you guys only buy regular milk?" she asked one morning. "I really need oat milk for my skin. The hormones in dairy cause breakouts." The couple of weeks became a month real fast. Every time I'd hint about apartment hunting, Meghan would get all defensive and treat me like I was being unreasonable. "I'm not just looking for any place," she'd say with this entitled attitude. "I need somewhere that's good for content creation. You know, good natural lighting, interesting background, safe neighborhood for night shoots. You can't rush these things. This is my career we're talking about." Yeah, and apparently you can't get a job to pay for said career either. While Sarah and I were working full-time, Meghan spent her days taking selfies, online shopping with what money, and sleeping until noon. She'd order DoorDash, constantly using our Wi-Fi, and leave the containers scattered around the house like we were her personal cleaning service. I tried to be patient and supportive. I even helped her set up profiles on job sites, but it got so much worse. Over the next few weeks, there was always some new guy hanging around. Guys who clearly didn't have jobs either, since they were there during the day when normal people work. Our house started feeling like a frat house. Energy drinks in the fridge, weird cologne smells, random shoes by the front door, empty pizza boxes on my kitchen counter. These weren't just dates either. Some of these guys would stay overnight. I'd hear them upstairs in the guest room until all hours, then see them wandering around the next morning like they lived here. Guys using my bathroom, eating my food, watching my TV. One even had the nerve to ask me to turn down my music while I was working in the garage on a Saturday. "Some of us are trying to sleep, bro. It's 2 in the afternoon, and you're in my house." The absolute breaking point came on a Tuesday when I came downstairs at 6 in the morning to grab coffee before work. Some shirtless guy I'd never seen before was standing in my kitchen in nothing but boxer shorts, making scrambled eggs like he owned the place. "Morning, bro," he said casually when he saw me. "Hope you don't mind me whipping up some breakfast. I'm Derek. Meghan said it was cool if I crashed here last night." I was speechless. This complete stranger was half naked in my kitchen, using my stove, eating my food, and acting like we were roommates. He'd even used my good non-stick pan and left the stove a mess. "Where's Meghan?" I managed to ask. "Still sleeping upstairs. We had a pretty late night, if you know what I mean." He actually winked at me while cracking another egg. I wanted to throw this guy through the window, but I knew I needed to talk to Sarah first before I lost it completely. When I told her about Derek, the underwear chef, that evening, she got defensive again. "You're overreacting." "So what if her friend stayed over? We have the space, and it's not like he was bothering you." "Sarah, I don't know this guy from Adam. He could be a drug dealer or a serial killer for all we know. Now you're just being paranoid." Meghan has good judgment about people. Does she? Because her judgment so far has involved 6 different guys in 2 months. She's dating. That's what single people do. In my house, using my kitchen, eating my food. That started our first real fight about her sister. It wouldn't be our last. After 3 months of this, I finally put my foot down. I told Sarah that Meghan needed to find her own place by the end of the month, or I was going to lose my mind. "She's family," Sarah said. "We can't just kick her out." "I'm not kicking her out. I'm giving her 30 days notice to find her own place like any other adult." Sarah promised to talk to her about moving out, but when I brought it up a week later, nothing had changed. That's when the manipulation tactics started in earnest. "She's family, Mike," Sarah would say. "I thought you understood how important family is to me. She's struggling right now was another favorite. We can't just abandon her when she needs us most. I thought you were more generous, then this was the one that really pissed me off." But Meghan was even worse with the passive-aggressive comments. She'd make remarks about how some people don't understand what it's like to chase your dreams. She talked loudly on the phone about how hard it was to save money for an apartment when you're investing in your future, instead of settling for mediocrity like other people. The entitlement was absolutely unreal. She'd order DoorDash multiple times a week, Thai food, sushi, expensive salads, and leave the containers on my coffee table for days. She'd use our washer and dryer like it was a laundromat, leaving her stuff in there for days so Sarah and I couldn't do our own laundry. She even had the nerve to ask me to drive her to auditions and networking events because she didn't have a car. "It's just like 30 minutes away," she'd say, "and you're not doing anything important anyway. Plus, it would be good for you to see what the creative industry is really like." While I'm working 55-plus-hour weeks to pay for a house that's turning into a halfway house for wannabe influencers and their revolving door of hookups, I started coming home to find passive-aggressive notes on my fridge about keeping the noise down in the mornings because some people work from home and need to sleep in. Work from home. She was taking ass pics in my backyard. The guys kept coming around too, and they were getting bolder. One of them asked me if I had any tools he could borrow to fix his car. Another one tried to get me to invest in his cryptocurrency startup and wouldn't take no for an answer. These freeloaders thought they could just waltz into my house and start networking with me. "You seem like a smart business guy," one of them said while I'm trying to eat dinner. "I've got this opportunity that's about to explode. You ever heard of Dogecoin?" Our neighbors started giving me weird looks when they'd see different cars in my driveway all the time. Mrs. Chen next door actually asked Sarah if we were running some kind of business out of the house because there were always different men coming and going. When I confronted Megan about being more discreet with her personal life, she laughed in my face. "What am I supposed to do? Be celibate? Sorry, I'm not married and boring like some people. I'm still young and living my life. Maybe you're just jealous that I have options." That's when I knew she had absolutely zero respect for me, my house, or my marriage. Things went completely nuclear when Megan started dating Jake Morrison. This piece of work is at Morrison's auto dealership, about 3 miles from my shop, and we have serious history. Jake's been trying to undercut our business for years, spreading rumors about our work quality, poaching our customers, the whole deal. See, Jake's dad owns the dealership, and Jake thinks that makes him hot shit. He's one of those slimy salesmen who will say anything to make a buck and has been bad-mouthing our shop around town for years. He tells customers that we overcharge, that we don't know what we're doing, that they should bring their trucks to his service department instead. The truth is, their service department sucks. They charge twice what we do, and half the time, they can't even diagnose the problem correctly. But Jake doesn't care. He just wants to steal business from us. Somehow, Megan found his Instagram and started flirting with him online. Before I knew it, they were dating, and she was bringing him to my house. The first time I saw his silver BMW in my driveway, I about lost it. "Are you kidding me?" I asked Sarah. "Your sister is dating Jake Morrison." "Who's Jake Morrison?" "The guy who's been trying to destroy my business for 3 years. "How is she supposed to know that?" "She doesn't know anything about your work drama." "Work drama? This guy has cost me thousands in lost customers by spreading lies about our reputation." But it got worse. Way worse. Megan started feeding Jake information about our personal business. I started hearing rumors around town about my financial problems and how I was too cheap to help family. Other mechanics were asking me if it was true that I was struggling to pay my bills. "Heard you got money troubles," my buddy Tony said one day. "That's why you're not helping out your sister-in-law." The rumors were clearly coming from Jake, and the information was coming from Megan. She was telling her boyfriend our private business, and he was using it to make me look bad in the community where my reputation is everything. The final straw came on a Saturday afternoon when I walked into my own living room to find them going at it on my couch. Not just kissing, full-on grinding. Her shirt completely off, his hands all over her, the works. They didn't even stop when I walked in. "Jesus Christ, get a room," I yelled. Megan looked at me like I was the intruder and said, "We would if someone wasn't being so stingy about me moving out." Jake just smirked at me like he'd won something. "Hey Mike, nice place you got here, thanks for the hospitality." I wanted to grab both of them and throw them out the window. That night, I completely lost it on Sarah. "Your sister is freaking my business rival on our couch and spreading our personal information around town. This ends right now." And you know what Sarah said? She defended her. "She didn't know you had problems with Jake. Maybe if you weren't so hostile about her relationships, she'd feel comfortable talking to you about them." Hostile? I've been nothing but patient while she turns our house into a brothel. You're being dramatic again. They're just dating, Sarah. They were practically having sex on our couch. So what? You've never made out with me on that couch? That's when I realized Sarah was never going to choose me over her sister. Not ever. When I threatened to kick Megan out immediately, Sarah finally broke down and told me the truth. The whole pursuing her dreams thing was complete bullshit. This had been planned from the beginning. Rebecca, Sarah's mom, had orchestrated the entire thing. She wanted Sarah to support Megan indefinitely until she found her path in life. The modeling career was just an excuse to get Megan moved in with us permanently. Mom thinks Megan needs stability and support to figure out what she wants to do, Sarah confessed while crying. And we're the only family she has who can provide that. What about getting a job like everyone else? That's not fair to Megan. She's trying to build something bigger than just a regular job. She has potential and talent. She just needs time and support. Potential for what? Being a professional mooch? How long is this supposed to last? Sarah couldn't even look at me. Until she's established. What does that even mean? I don't know, Mike. A year, maybe 2. However long it takes for her to really make it. And what if she never makes it? She will. I believe in her. That's when I knew my marriage was over. Sarah had made her choice. And it wasn't me. I filed for divorce the next week. Sarah's reaction? You're destroying our family over jealousy and selfishness. The divorce process was a nightmare. Sarah demanded $2,800 a month in alimony, even though we'd only been married 20 months, and she made decent money herself. Her lawyer actually tried to argue that she deserved support because she'd given up career opportunities to support her husband's household. What career opportunities, my lawyer asked. Managing a parts store? My client sacrificed her own advancement to create a stable home environment, her lawyer said during mediation. She deserves compensation for those lost opportunities. My lawyer almost laughed out loud. Your client worked the same job before and after marriage. What opportunities did she give up exactly? The whole process took almost a year because Sarah kept fighting everything. She contested the divorce, demanded half my house even though she'd never paid a dime toward the down payment, wanted spousal support. The works. It was like she thought she could bleed me dry and force me to take her back. During the proceedings, I moved in with my buddy Chris, who had a spare room above his garage. Meanwhile, Sarah couldn't afford the $1,420 mortgage payment on her own, but refused to kick Megan out. She started burning through her savings, trying to keep up with all the bills, while still supporting her sister's career. Here's where the story gets good and why I'm sharing this on Reddit instead of just moving on with my life. Remember how I mentioned I'm a diesel mechanic? Well, I know pretty much every shop owner, parts dealer, and mechanic in a 100-mile radius. When you work on trucks and heavy equipment in a small area, word travels fast. In this industry, we all know each other, we all talk, and we all remember who screws us over. Jake had been bragging around town about his new model girlfriend and how he was helping her career by introducing her to the right people. The guy was acting like he discovered the next Instagram superstar and was taking credit for her success. But here's the thing about Jake. I'd suspected for months that he was running some kind of scam at his dealership. He always had more cash than his commissions should allow, but his actual sales numbers were mediocre at best. Plus, I'd heard rumors from customers about weird overcharges and mysterious fees on their paperwork that didn't make sense. So, I made some calls. I reached out to Tommy Rodriguez, who I went to trade school with and who now works in the service department at Morrison's dealership. Tommy's a good guy, and we've stayed friends over the years. I casually mentioned that Jake seemed to be living pretty well for a guy whose sales numbers weren't that impressive. Yeah, I've been wondering about that too, Tommy said. Dude's always flashing cash, but I never see him closing big deals, and some of the customers have been complaining about charges they don't remember agreeing to. Tommy started paying attention to Jake's deals more closely. Within 2 weeks, he'd figured out that Jake was adding fake charges to customer invoices and pocketing the difference. Extended warranties that didn't exist, service fees for work that was never done, documentation fees that went straight into his pocket. Small amounts per customer, but it added up to thousands over time. Tommy reported it to Mr. Morrison, Jake's dad, who called in an independent accountant to audit Jake's sales over the past year. They found over $15,000 in fraudulent charges. Jake had been systematically stealing from customers in the dealership. Jake got fired immediately. And not just fired, they pressed criminal charges for theft and fraud. His mugshot ended up in the local newspaper, the Crime Blotter, with the headline, "Dealership Employee Charged with Customer Fraud." But here's the beautiful part. Jake had only been dating Megan because he thought she came from money. He'd seen Sarah's house, my truck, and assumed Megan's family was loaded. In his mind, he was dating up and getting access to money and connections. Once he lost his job and faced criminal charges, reality hit hard. He couldn't afford to take Megan out to fancy restaurants anymore. He couldn't buy her gifts or pay for her professional photo shoots. And he definitely didn't want to be associated with drama when he was facing jail time. He dumped Megan's ass so fast it wasn't even funny. She came home crying one day, saying Jake had freaked out about some work stuff and said he couldn't handle a relationship right now. She had no idea I was the one who destroyed his life. With Jake out of the picture and no other guys wanting to deal with a broke wannabe influencer living in someone else's house, Megan finally had to face reality. But instead of getting a real job, she doubled down on the entitlement. She started demanding that Sarah buy her professional photography equipment so she could really take her content to the next level. We're talking about a $3,000 camera, professional lighting equipment, editing software, maybe even renting a studio space, The works. I just need the right equipment to really showcase my potential, she argued. Once I have professional quality content, the brand deals will start rolling in. Sarah, who was already struggling to pay the mortgage without my income, actually considered it. She took out a $1,200 cash advance on her credit card to buy Megan a professional ring light setup and some camera equipment. Meanwhile, I was sitting pretty in Chris's garage apartment, watching this train wreck unfold from a safe distance. I'd filed the paperwork to buy out Sarah's non-existent equity in the house during the divorce proceedings. Since she'd never contributed to the down payment and we'd only been married 20 months, she wasn't entitled to much. The mortgage company started calling Sarah about missed payments. The utilities got shut off twice. She was working overtime at the parts store and picked up a weekend job stocking shelves at a gas station, all to support her sister's career. That's when Rebecca decided to step in, except she didn't have any money either. She'd been counting on my marriage to Sarah to provide long-term support for Megan. Her plan had always been to use me as the cash cow for her younger daughter's lifestyle. When Rebecca realized I was gone for good, never coming back, she tried a different approach. She started calling me directly, begging me to take Sarah back. She made a mistake, Rebecca would say during these pathetic phone calls. But Megan is just young and confused. She'll grow out of this phase. That's not my problem anymore, I'd tell her. But you loved Sarah. Don't you want to save your marriage? Sarah chose her sister over her husband. There's nothing to save. Rebecca even showed up at my shop one day, crying and begging me to help them. She'd lost her apartment because she couldn't afford the rent on her grocery store wages and was living on Sarah's couch along with Megan. 3 grown women crammed into my old house, all broke, all miserable. I'll make Megan get a job, Rebecca promised through tears. I'll make her contribute to the household. Just please don't abandon Sarah. She needs you. I looked at this woman who'd orchestrated the whole mess and felt nothing but contempt. You all made your choices, I told her. Now live with the consequences. 6 months after our divorce was finalized, the inevitable happened. Sarah lost the house. She'd missed too many mortgage payments and couldn't catch up, even with her 2 jobs. The bank foreclosed and she had exactly 30 days to move out. That's when I got the call I'd been waiting for. Mike. Sarah's voice was shaking, and she sounded like she'd been crying for hours. I know I don't deserve to ask this, but we need help. We're about to be homeless. We, me, Megan, and Mom. We lost the house, and we don't have anywhere to go. I was wrong about everything. I should have chosen you over my family. I know that now. Where's Megan working these days? There was a long pause. She got a job at McDonald's last month. She's making $13 an hour. I almost laughed out loud. The Instagram model was flipping burgers and asking if people wanted to supersize their meals. What about her modeling career? All those brand deals she was going to get? Sarah was quiet for a long time. She gave up on that. She lost most of her followers when she couldn't afford to create good content anymore. It was all fake anyway. She was buying followers and engagement. And you're calling me because I was hoping maybe we could work things out. I made a terrible mistake. I threw away the best thing in my life for someone who never appreciated what we were doing for her. Here it comes, I thought. I'll sign any prenup you want. I'll make Megan pay rent or move out completely. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. Please, Mike, I'm begging you. Where are you living now? In Mom's car. We've been sleeping in Walmart parking lots for 3 days. Security keeps moving us along. Jesus. Part of me almost felt bad. Almost. Remember when I asked you to choose between me and your sister? I said. And you said I was being selfish and controlling. I was wrong. I was so wrong about everything. Remember when you said Megan deserved support because she was family? Mike, please. Remember when you said I was jealous of a 25-year-old girl? Sarah was sobbing now. I remember everything. I was stupid and selfish, and I'm sorry, but we can fix this. I know we can't. No, Sarah, we can't. You didn't just choose your sister over me. You chose to lie to me, manipulate me, and let your family disrespect me in my own house. You let them treat me like garbage while I was paying for everything. That's not something you fix with apologies. She kept begging for almost an hour, promising to cut off her family completely, promising to pay me back for everything they'd cost me, promising to sign papers giving me complete control over our finances and living situation. It was pathetic listening to her grovel. A week later, Rebecca called me. She was even more desperate. I know you hate us, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But Sarah is my daughter, and she's suffering because of my mistakes. I'm the one who pushed her to support Megan. Sarah wanted to choose you, but I convinced her that family had to come first. And now I see I was wrong. I destroyed my daughter's marriage and ruined all our lives. But maybe you could find it in your heart to help Sarah start over. She's learned her lesson. What about Megan? Megan's not your responsibility anymore. She needs to figure out her own life. But Sarah really loved you. She still does. Not enough to choose me when it mattered, I said and hung up.